Everyone, welcome to this edition of Stream On. I'm Jim Williams, your host, and this time around, we've got something very interesting. It's a brand new service. It's called Struum, and frankly, it just might be the streaming service we've all been waiting for. Now, what Struum does is it allows you to use credits to access shows and movies from a growing number of services with one monthly subscription. You can unlock thousands of stories that match your interest from, say, travel to true crime. Now, it's the brainchild of a group of executives from Disney and Discovery Channel. Now, this group got together and they got a very strong funding package, which is led by former Disney CEO Michael Eisner. So this is a group to be reckoned with, and one which I think is going to be one of the top streaming services out there. And our guests this week is Lauren DeVillier and Paul Pastor, two of the founding members of Struum. Guys, welcome, and let's talk about it. I mean, this is a fantastic new service. Tell us how it came about.
Yeah.
Lauren, you want to take that?
Yeah. So, after I was at Disney for many years, and I was at Discovery. I went to Discovery for a bit, and then I pivoted back to Disney Plus, and I was consulting on Disney Plus, and I started having lunches with Eugene Liu, who is another one of our founders. He's our CTO, and we started talking about this idea. We both worked on such big brands like Disney and Discovery, and building SVOD services for both. We started talking about, the idea that there's so much fantastic content out there, but they just don't have the shelf space. They don't have the awareness.
Right.
And so we started, kind of working that idea. And then I was telling him about how much I loved ClassPass and the model of ClassPass and Audible.
Right.
That you could use credits to take a class, to take a spin class or a yoga class, or, downloading books. So,
Right.
We started marrying those two ideas together. And that's really how the kernel of the idea started. And then quickly, Paul and I had worked together for many, many years, and had a great relationship. And I quickly pulled him into the mix, and Eugene pulled Thomas, who is our head of product and design, into the mix, who also has product and design background from Imagineering and Disney Life. So that's really how it started.
So once you started to curate this content, what was the rationale behind that?
Sure. So, it's very funny. Like, if you think about some of the early conversations Lauren and I had, we sat down and said, listen, let's find 5 content partners that will agree to put do this little experiment in this business model and go from there. But what we couldn't have anticipated is that very quickly we found a lot of interest, especially among the medium to long tail of the SVOD universe, right? There's nearly 300 services that are available to US subscribers. And so the first thing we thought about is, like, how do we, very quickly gain scale, right? Number one, right? How do we kind of have a very complete offering? And so what you saw in our announcement at the end of May was essentially we have now 60 partners, right? 42,000 assets under contract. So we can begin to service a very large part of the segment of streamers, right? And hit on many, many different passion verticals. We're now in the phase where we begin thinking through, okay, what are the pieces that are beginning to resonate with consumers on our marketing and our engagement within the platform, and how do we look at the real opportunity that sits within the platform, right? Are the adjacencies, so the ability to say, hey, if you're watching this show from Tastemade, you also may really like this show from Gusto, and you may also like this other show from another one of our partners.
Sure.
And so this is really where the engagement begins to build, the time spent on the platform begins to build, and that's where also the economic opportunity for our content partners begins to build, all in servicing, right, this passion, interest around this consumer. And so that's how we have begun thinking about some of the curation efforts that sit on the platform today.
So when I know everything is coming to the major launch of the service. And so what's our rollout going to look like?
Yeah. So right now we're in market. We launched on May 25th, and it really was more of a preview of the product or a beta of the product, because our intention was really to get out into the universe, test it, and start doing some light marketing around it. Because what we really want to do is gear up for our major launch, which is coming in August. Right. And in August, we will have the 60 plus content partners. We'll have our managed services on there. So right now we have a credit-based model where, be like, Jim, you're really into BBC Select. We think that, we see that you're using a lot of BBC Select, and we think that you would be better served by having a subscription. And so then the managed service piece is that piece that kind of rolls you into a managed service. So now you can use your credits to continue to access all of those different services, discover some passion verticals that you might be interested in, and then also have that subscription. So that is coming in August with the 60 plus partners. So right now we have the platform out there. We continue to test, as Paul said. We're working a lot of the data to see how people are consuming the content, and we're doing the marketing to really A/B test what's happening to really get us ready for that August launch.
Well, I've played with the service, and it's a very easy to an easy to navigate service. So, I mean, from a user-friendly standpoint, it's very user-friendly.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
It is. When Thomas was working, as he was working on the design and the UX of the platform, there were things that we wanted to elevate but not change, right? The model of the credit-based service in this market and this type of product is new. So that's the new piece that we wanted to introduce. We didn't really want to mess with how people navigate services. So it was a conscious decision not to sort of upset that apple cart, but rather sort of evolve it.
Yeah, and I would say what's really interesting, right, about our platform, I hope you found it as a part of the experience, right, is we really lean into brands as navigational tools and instruments for consumers. And that's a benefit to, the consumer because they're familiar with some of these brands, right? They know what a Tribeca is. They know what a BBC Select might be. They know, what a Tastemade might be. But they also, for our partners, it's really important, right? Because in so many of the other environments, there's this loss of brand attribution to the content. Sure. And in this environment, we can actually say, hey, we want to actually showcase your brand. We want to actually help you drive some of your goals, both in monetizing the secondary and tertiary audiences that are hard to reach and those late and occasional viewers that maybe may not convert through our credit model. But we also recognize the importance of growing your subscription base. And that's really why that brand attribution becomes incredibly important.
Well, and I also think the concept of the credit and as you had pointed out, Paul, I think that the cross promotion is critical because that's what, if you like this brand, maybe, taste this brand, give it a shot. And I think that's what, to me, is exciting about the whole platform is that you are giving people an opportunity to sample something and realize, I didn't realize I liked this, or I didn't know this thing existed. And, all of a sudden you've become a fan, because right now we're in a world where narrowcasting is really the way to go. You're not going to get 5 million people to go to one specific thing at one specific time because, prime time is whenever you or I or Lauren decide that we want to watch something.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, right? We know we come from the television side of the business, and we know habits and rituals around television are incredibly informative and important, right? And today, a lot of what those habits look like today is, you go to Netflix because, most of the US has a Netflix household subscription. And then you go to Amazon Prime because it's included for free in your Amazon Prime delivery. And then you maybe go to HBO Max because you're an urban sophisticator, or you go to Disney Plus because you have kids and family. And then you have this huge ocean of 300 other services. And many of us sit there and you're like, oh, maybe I like that show, but I'm not sure. Do I really want to click in, subscribe, manage that subscription? Potentially I forget to manage that subscription. And then all of a sudden, so there's just so many friction points that you end up circling back, right, to the beginning and starting over again. And what we're hoping is with what we offer with Struum is to really be able to say, here's a place for you to discover, here's a place for you to seamlessly consume that content once you discover, but to be able to also effectively communicate for that partner about how that value proposition fits in that service. So longer term, you can say, actually, there are 3 or 4 shows. That's part of what our dashboard communicates. There are 3 or 4 shows that I really like in this service. Why don't I subscribe now? And that's really the benefit to partners.
Well, the other part I would assume that benefits partners as well is the fact that you're giving people access to a number of brands that are not necessarily, and this is no shade being meant to be thrown in any particular direction here, but they're not brands that are household names.
No. Yeah. I mean, there is no shame in that, right? Because there's fantastic content that sits under there that just hasn't been discovered by a customer, right? And I see that the value there is that we are providing that front door into that service that we know that a customer is going to find value in and likely subscribe to that service. As we look at the data, so many, about 30% of consumer, one of the things they search on are passion verticals, right? So they're looking for that cooking or that animation or something. And, and they want to search and discover and explore it. And the idea that, people, I know everybody talked about during the pandemic that we got to the end of Netflix, but the reality is you go in for a specific reason, and then you don't necessarily utilize or view the entire library of a service. You go in and you do kind of dive in and dive out of content that you want. And we really are modeling against that behavior.
One of the things that I think that is also beneficial is that for lack of a better way of putting it, I audition a lot of different programming services and say, okay, you know what, let's try this or let's try that. And suddenly you find out, wait a minute, I had never heard of this before, but there's 5 or 6 things on it that I really enjoy. So I'm going to subscribe to it. And, people were asking me about this because a lot of people are not, haven't been to the streaming world for much of the time. And I said, it's like going past the store, front that you've seen the title of the store, the name of the store, but you never really went in, but you passed it 100 times. And then one day you decide, you know what? I don't know what's in there, so I'm going to go in. And you realize that this is a store that has a lot of things you might have been wanting, but you just passed it 100 times. And, this is pretty much what you're doing for a lot of storefronts here, where people have passed these storefronts 100 times. They have no idea what's in it. Now they know.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly
That's right. It's a really great way to kind of merchandise and shop and understand what a service has to offer through this credit-based model.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's talk about the price point. So, because obviously that is crucial to a lot of people. So let's bring up that. How do we develop our credits? How do we develop the subscriptions? How does that part work?
Sure. So from a credit-based model, the great thing is there's a lot of flexibility, right? For us to be able to communicate and for our partners, importantly, to be able to communicate. This is a high premium value because it's maybe something I premiered last night versus something that's maybe deep library. And we knew that from the very beginning. Content owners don't want their content to be commoditized. Sure. They want the brand attribution, which we leaned into, right? Number 1 and number 2, they want to be able to tell a consumer this is high value. And then what we have done with our content partners is looked at like various ways in which they monetize content and tried to find ways where there's an equivalency, right? So that they can understand, I can communicate, I can put it in this channel or in this other front door space or this other front door space or within my own environment. And this is how I monetize and make sure we can try some of the equivalency. And the great thing is, though, from a business perspective and hopefully from a partner's perspective, is that over time, we'll be able to see those interactions on the platform and be able to say, actually, we figured out what a revenue, where consumers generally fall in terms of their willingness to transact based on a certain credit value, right? At a certain point in the window and life cycle of that product. So we'll be able to help our partners understand, like, here's how consumers view that and take those interactions. And importantly, we'll also be able to say, this is what also drives conversion, right? So maybe you have a strategy where the number of credits on a certain show is really low for season 1, but something that all the new season is slightly higher in season 2, because you're basically trying to say, listen, I want you to sample, I want you to get in, understand more about the show, and then maybe over time drive and convert into watching this through a subscription service. So that's a lot of the experimentation that happens on the platform. We're really excited about what the model presents and the data, and importantly, how we can help partners, really think about all the opportunities that sit on the platform.
And from a standpoint of when we will be able to see this on a number of different streaming boxes, I guess, or sticks or whatever. What's the situation with Roku and Fire Stick and those coming down the line?
Yeah. So, well, right now we're on iOS, web. You can cast Chromecast and AirPlay.
Sure.
And we have, Android on deck, and then we'll be rolling out to, OTT and Roku and all of those, over the next few months. Okay. So that is our plan.
That is the goal.
That's coupled with us delivering more features, right? So right now we have the credit-based model. If you were playing with the app, you see today that we have about 30 brands on there as of this moment, about 6,000 assets. We are scaling up to meet what we have contracted with the 60 brands, with the 42,000 assets, and adding new services almost on a daily basis in terms of closing deals. We will be onboarding all that content as we kind of reach full parity with those services, as we get to what we call managed services opportunities, where we can actually drive from the credit-based model into a subscription service, all managed within our platform. So that is something that we'll be delivering in the late summer timeframe. And then along with that, we'll also be, throughout the year, also delivering profiles so that in your household, you can manage, as we personalize more, we can manage, for, the children in the house, one view, for the father in the house, another view, for the mother in the house, the other view, and for friends and other, who are visitors who are coming. So all of that is also part of our product roadmap that we're looking to deliver within this year.
Well, it's a very exciting concept, and I really think that once you guys showcase this in the light of day to a larger audience, that it's going to be something that people are going to want to really get behind, because it does give you, everybody keeps talking about, having options, right? Well, you guys absolutely give them any possible option that they may be wishing to have, and it's all there. So clearly, it's something that I think that people are going to embrace once they get the opportunity to really get their hands around it.
Yeah, I think as Paul had said earlier, in terms of we wanted 5 partners on the service to start, like that was our aspiration, and now that we have 60, what we have found is even just talking to friends and family, pitching people, like it's an idea that everybody gets, right? It just clicks in instantly, because we've all been there, right? We've all been in that place where it's like, I really want to watch that show, but I'm going to game the system by, setting my calendar for that 7-day free trial so I can get out, or I'm going to forget that I had the service and, I paid to watch a movie for 7 months. I've spent $70. So people really fundamentally understand the model and the problem that it solves. So we feel really strongly that this is something that will absolutely resonate, as other credit-based services in the marketplace have resonated for other businesses. So we are very excited by what's to come and the expansiveness of the model that we're trying to build.
Well, it's a very ambitious product, and hopefully it'll do well. I'm at the point in our little program here where I give you shameless plugs, so feel free. It's
Well,
shameless plug time.
we would
So
love
make
for
sure that
everybody
you
to
tell
go.
us where to find you on the internet. Give us your web addresses, all the social media, anything that's left in the basket, folks. Pull it out of the old basket because here's the opportunity.
Well, listen, you can find us on the store, Struum, Struum. You can find us on the App Store, iOS, Struum.com. Absolutely would love for people to follow us on social. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's on Struum is our hashtag, so or at Struum, sorry. Yeah, I mean, we're at a point in our life cycle where every customer voice counts. We really want to hear from people, what they love about the product. We are reading everything that comes in to us. You can sign up for our emails as well. If you go to Struum.com, contact us. So there is a lot of opportunity to interact and communicate, and we welcome all of it.
Outstanding. Well, tell you what, promise that you guys will come back in the fall and talk a little bit more about it as we continue to see the evolution.
We'd love nothing more.
Okay. Absolutely.
Special thanks to my special guests, Lauren DeVillier and Paul Pastor of Struum. By all means, check out all the information on this brand new service in our show box below. Highly recommend. We'll be back with more of Stream On right after this from BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
At BMW, we know leaving the road wasn't easy, but anticipating our return taught us to appreciate every drive. The exhilaration of the ultimate adventure. Moments spent with your favorite co-pilots. And the freedom to explore just because. Our time to rejoin the road is finally here.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Now, if you're not one of the over 75,000 people worldwide who've taken the time to join our little party here, well, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, we make it very simple. It's free. You can find us at the Apple Podcast Store, same thing over at Google Play. You can find us at Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, as well as iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and Amazon, just to mention a few, okay? Now, if you have an assistant device like, say, Siri, Alexa, or Google, all you have to do is ask them to please play the latest edition of Stream On with Jim Williams, and they'll be happy to do it for you. Now, after all that, if you still can't find us, well, here you go. Pull out the old Google machine, type in Stream On with Jim Williams, and hit the favorite button or subscribe button, and every week you're going to get a brand new edition of the podcast sent directly to your phone, your tablet, or to both, okay? So please check it out. We highly appreciate that, all right? Now, also while you're checking out, in the show box below, you've got all of our social media. Now, most of you, as I said before, 75,000 over the entire world, you guys have been fantastic about telling us about shows from Australia, from New Zealand, from Sweden, from Italy, from all over the planet. And we're really appreciative of that. We love the interactivity, and you guys have spurred us on to do some shows about some programming we didn't, really wasn't on our radar, but you made us, understand and appreciate it. And we appreciate that. So we're a very interactive show. Check out the show box below. Plenty of opportunities to hit us up on social media, and we look forward to hearing from you, okay? So we're going to watch this weekend well over on Netflix. If you're a fan of the Hallmark Channel, movies and mysteries, well, you're going to like Virgin River. It plays right into that. It's basically one of those interesting shows where you find two women who, they were caught up in the rat race in Los Angeles. They decide to move to a small town called Virgin River, and there's very interesting things going on at Virgin River. It is a original drama, and it is dropping its second season over on Netflix. By all means, check out Virgin River. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's very interesting. Now, if, you're getting psyched about the 2020 Tokyo Games, well, then you're going to want to head over to Prime Video because they have a documentary series called Head Above Water. It's about the U.S. swimming team and all of the work and effort that they put in to make it to the 2020 Tokyo Games, and it'll give you some real good insight on some of the stars and some of the dark horses to look forward to as the Tokyo Games come this way. Sometime, of course, the end of the month. Now, there's a comedy on Hulu. Now, this is a movie that's been out for a while. It's Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. Now, it's a mindless comedy, but it is definitely fun to see these ladies hit Florida during spring break. It's a bit of a trip. It's a lot of fun. And as I say, if you're just looking for something to make you laugh and not really make you think hard, well, Barb and Star Go to Del Vista Del Mar on Hulu is where you want to be. One of my favorite shows is on Acorn. Now, this is a new series coming back, a new series of Jack Irish. We're looking forward to Jack Irish. It is an Australian-done show. It's a lot of fun to watch, and it's reminiscent in many ways of the Rockford Files. But Jack Irish on Acorn TV, definitely well worth checking out. All right? Okay, everyone. That's what we think you should watch, and if you have some ideas about what should be watching this week. By the way, forgot to mention, it is Shark Week on Discovery. How could I forget that? My God. Shark Week on Discovery, one of their most popular weeks. And if you got Discovery Plus, you've got all kinds of cool extra shark stuff. So check that out too, okay? So Shark Week too. How can I forget Shark Week? That's amazing. Anyway, so that's it, folks, for this edition of Struum I with Jim Williams. Hope you enjoyed it. Many thanks to the entire team that put together this show, and we will see you next week. Be careful of the sharks. That's right, it's Shark Week.